In this video, we'll see how to thicken the edge of a floor and create an upstand to a floor using the Slab Edge tool. We'll also see how to create a new slab edge type to assign profiles and materials. An upstand is a generic term for a vertical structure added to a horizontal surface such as a floor or roof. It may be required to provide extra strength around the edge of the object, help with weatherproofing, or even provide a protective barrier to an opening in a floor. They could be formed using the same materials as the horizontal surface, or from a different material entirely. I have the exercise file Slab Edge tools open. And looking into the atrium at the end of the building here, we can see that we have a floor slab here that is bridging across to the auditorium. We need to add an upstand around the edge of this floor to act as a safety barrier. We also have this cantilevered slab underneath the auditorium that we need to thicken the edge of to help with its structural stability. The Slab Edge tool uses a profile family to define the cross-section shape, which is then applied along the edge of the slab using the Slab Edge tool. So first, we will load in the profile that we'll need for the floor upstand. And to do this, we'll go to the Insert Ribbon tab, and from the Load from Library panel, we'll click the Load Autodesk Family tool. This will open up a cloud-based browser for Autodesk content. And first, we need to check that the locale settings have the region set to be United States Imperial. Having done this, we'll browse to the Profiles category on the left-hand side here. And then looking at the results on the right here, we can see we have a concrete rectangular beam profile family. So we'll select this one and then click Load to download this into our project. We need to create a new type of this profile family to suit the size required for our upstand. So in order to access its properties, we'll go to the project browser and we'll expand out the list of families. Now we'll scroll down and find the Profiles category and expand this out. Now looking at the list of profiles, we can see the concrete rectangular beam profile that we just loaded. I'll expand this and we can see that we have two types here, and we need to create a new type which will be 8 by 48 inches. So to do this, we'll right click on the family name and then we'll choose New Type. We'll give this the name 8 by 48. And now we've got that created, we'll right click over it and choose Type Properties to edit its dimensions. Looking at the type parameters here, we can see we have the Dimensions panel. And we have the parameters H and B for height and breadth. So we'll change the breadth parameter to be 8 inches and the height parameter to be 48 inches. Now we can click OK and we have that new type created and set up ready to use. To make it easier to work on our floor slab, I'll first select it in the view here. And now from the Modify ribbon tab, on the View panel, we'll click the Selection Box tool, and this will set the section box in the 3D view to the extent of the floor slab and make it much easier for us to work on. So to apply the Slab Edge, we'll first go to the Architecture ribbon tab, and then from the Build panel, underneath the Floor tool, we'll click the Floor Slab Edge tool. Now looking at the type selector, we can see we have the Slab Edge Thicken 24 by 12 inch type selected. So we need to create a new one, so let's click Edit Type to access the type properties. And then from the top of the type properties, we'll click Duplicate to create a new one. And we'll name this Floor Upstand. And then click OK to create that new Slab Edge type. Looking in the type parameters, we have a parameter here for profile. And it's currently the Slab Edge Thicken 24 by 12. So we'll click on this. And from the list of available profiles, we'll choose the concrete rectangular beam profile 8 by 48, which is the one we just created. Now looking below the profile, we have a parameter for material, and it's set to be by category. So we'll click by category, and then from the button that appears, we'll open up the material browser. From the search box at the top, we'll search for concrete. And then from the materials in the search results, we'll choose the concrete cast in place grey, and then click OK to assign this onto our slab edge. So that's all we need to do, so we'll click OK to save this new slab edge type. And now we can go over to the edges of the floor slab and just pick on the highlighted edges here, and it will place that profile and that slab edge along those edges. So once we've got the 3 edges picked, we'll click on Modify to finish placing the slab edge. So looking at the slab edge as we've placed it, we can see it's placed along the edges as we want, but it is a little bit too low. So to change this, we'll go to a section view. So scrolling up the project browser, we'll find the atrium section view and double click to open this. Now zooming into where we've placed the slab edge there, we can see it on the edge of the floor. And as you say, we can see it sticking down as well. And this is due to the insertion point of the profile family. I'll select the slab edge. And now looking at the properties palette, you can see we have parameters here for vertical and horizontal profile offset. However, as I'm not sure what the exact distance needs to be, we can just use the Move tool. So with it selected, from the Modify ribbon tab, we'll click on the Move tool. And then we can snap to the bottom of the slab edge for the start point. And then click to the underside of the floor. And then those two will be lined up. So now we'll go back to the 3D view. And we can see now that we have that slab edge around the floor as we want it. And if I just adjust the section box here to include the top of the slab edge, then we can see that it's looking just how we need it. So that finishes off that floor. I'll uncheck the section box to bring back the rest of the model. And now panning across, we can see the cantilever slab that we need to thicken the edge of. So to do this, we'll go back to the Architecture ribbon tab, and from the Build panel, under the Floor tool, we'll click the Floor Slab Edge tool. From the type selector, we'll change it to be the thickened 24 by 12 inch type. So now we just need to pick the 4 lower edges of the cantilevered slab here, so that we have that thickened edge all the way round. So having got that done, we'll click Modify to finish placing it. And now we'll swap back to the atrium section view to review the slab edge that we've placed. And zooming into the edge of the cantilevered slab here, we can see it's placed it in. However, it's not merged in as the previous upstand was, and that's because we need to assign the same material to the slab edge as is on the floor. So I'll select the slab edge, and from the properties palette we'll click Edit Type to access the type properties. And we can see the materials parameter here, which is set to be by category. So I'll click on this and open up the material browser from the button that appears. And the concrete cast in place grey material is still there from where we applied it to the floor upstand, so I'll click on this one and then click OK to apply that to this slab edge too. And then we'll click OK again to save those changes. And now we can see that that material is applied, and that join between the floor and the slab edge has disappeared, making it appear to be one object now. We also want to mirror the direction of the slab edge so that the sloping edge is on the outside face. And to do this, we'll swap back to the 3D view. So now if I select on the slab edge, you see we have the flip orientation grips here. So we'll click on the flip horizontal orientation. Now we can see that's mirrored the profile around. However, it is now sticking out from the floor, so we will need to change this. Going up to the properties palette, we can see we have the parameter here for horizontal profile offset. And we'll change this to be -24 inches. And when we apply this, we can see that move back into the correct location. So now we'll swap back to the atrium section view. And we can see now that we have the slab edge thickened around the edge of our cantilever slab. And that finishes the slab edges that we need to create.